Hey, it's Justin King. I'm your host, and going through this video and talking about fan engagement. A really important piece of just the elite sports ecosystem, regardless of what sport you play, whether it's basketball, track, football, golf, tennis. At the end of the day, as an athlete, you want to monetize your talents and different things of that nature, but you're a product, and the consumer is the fan. So with the new age of NIL and everything going into recruiting, and you know, the blog writers and all the different attention, it's really good to understand and powerful to understand how to leverage your fan engagement, how to build your brand in that way. So the first thing I want to talk about is we had a past guest on our Blue Chip Academy podcast. Check it out when you get a chance. Oh, and by the way, like and subscribe this video and check out the LIG Blue Chip Academy podcast and all that good stuff. But the first thing is we had a guest on, Ryan Mundy, founder of Alchemy Health. He talked about one of the key things of going through the process is knowing yourself. And that's a major part of this fan engagement piece, is not putting yourself in situations where you're going to be at a disadvantage, whether it's you're hot after a game or you're a little shy, you're going around rambunctious fans. Just make sure that you're putting yourself in situations where you have leverage, and understanding if there's some uncomfortable things that you may have to put yourself through in order to engage with fans, but understand that this is a part of the game, and knowing yourself and try to direct that energy as much as possible goes a long way. Second part, don't take things too seriously. At the end of the day, you're playing a sport, you're playing a game, and you know, things come and fans say things that are off the chain sometimes, right? Like they want you to open up, they want you to engage, they want to understand the access to like what your makeup is or how are you developing as an athlete. And sometimes when people take the credence or the evaluations or whatever it might be from fans, you know, they might take it a little too seriously. I can say that, you know, I was introduced to the concept early, growing up playing football in Pittsburgh, went from one team to another team and, you know, faced the old team. And I came back and it was wow, because the parents were yelling like crazy things to me, right? And I was like kind of hurt. I'm like, well, last year they were cheering for me and different things of that nature. So why are they saying this type of stuff to me this year? Like it was just 1 year apart. I'm 11 years old. I didn't understand. So I remember getting to the car and my grandmother, my nana, shout out to my nana, she was like, you want to play high level sports and you can't take a fan saying something? I'm like, well, it's adult. She was like, it doesn't matter. So, you know, that kind of got me in a right mindset to how to deal with fans or how to approach fans, right? Like kind of turning down the volume a little bit, almost too much. So learning the different aspects, going through the sports ecosystem, the working in sports, and just seeing how the relationship between the fan and the athlete can be extremely valuable if leveraged the right way. And don't avoid it at the end of the day. You know, we just seen something from LSU a couple weeks ago where, you know, they lost a close game and the fans, you know, have direct access with Twitter and all those different things. And, you know, some of the players backed out and it got off of social media and, you know, it's just a lot to deal with, you know, so we just make sure that you're not taking things too seriously. Use it to your advantage. That's the next part we're going into. Make sure you're using fan engagement to your advantage. This is a level that gives you, this gives you leverage. This gives you a chance to build your brand. It gives you a chance to, have brand awareness just around the campus, around everything that you're doing, and just making the connections that you want to do with what you want to do after your sport, right? Because a lot of times people have a inkling or people might not get the whole perspective of who you are from you just playing. So you have to sometimes give a little bit of exposure or peek behind the curtain so people can understand who you are. But when doing that, make sure you're using it and have a game plan to use it to your advantage, because it can help enhance your brands and for future opportunities on and off the field, right? We talk about people knowing who you are in the executive ranks or transition out of the sport. A lot of times they get their first piece of your personality through you're actually playing or just the little pieces that they get from the media. But now with NIL being so forward facing and having an opportunity to show yourself with Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, all the different things out there, there's a way to authentically curate yourself and put yourself out there, right? Again, use fan engagement to your advantage. And the next part, remember that you're in charge. I mean, regardless if you're signing deals, regardless if you're trying to push content out there, you're in charge of this whole situation. At the end of the day, you have to still compete at a high level to maintain a level of fan engagement and have fans where you're not just dealing with critics or just fighting back like, oh, I got the haters, I got this and all that good stuff. And, maybe some people want to use a burner account and look at the critics and from a different view. But I would just say, remember that you're in charge and control the narrative, whatever the case may be. If you need to get off of social media, there's nothing wrong with that. If you need to, block out fans for a certain amount of time to focus on what's at hand, make sure you do that. But at the end of the day, just remember that there's a fail stop to everything that's going on and that you're in charge. And then last but not least, make sure you're having fun with it, right? Like engage the fans. They're here to see a show. And again, we always talk about, it's only entertainment. I know I'm somebody that's always approached the game of, kind of separating from the fan, right? Not really giving it its true credence besides, that's just like a critical ear or someone that has something to say. And it's just like, they don't understand what's going on, but that's not always the case, right? Like there's an aspect of, there's fans that are emotional and say wild things, but there's a great opportunity, especially in the space of NIL, capitalizing on your brand for the field, for the opportunities off the field, to make sure that you're engaging with the fans. And that's, I'm going to kind of leave it at that, because the fans will appreciate your personality once they kind of understand who you are, understand the way that you operate and maneuver in different ways. They're going to get a chance to see you at your highest moments, at your lowest moments. But again, that's what comes back to the number one thing, is knowing yourself through this whole process and fan engagement. So you're putting yourself in the positions to capitalize and take advantage and have the leverage be on your side in this whole fan engagement game. So again, use sports as a catalyst to a career that you can bank on, and using fan engagement as a way to amplify your voice, amplify your brand, amplify, the eyes that kind of see you. So use that and understand that when you're recruiting, going through this recruiting process, looking at the different atmosphere, check out the fan bases as you're going through the recruiting process and your evaluation process, especially on these in-season visits. And that's how we'll wrap it up today. Remember, use sports as a catalyst to a career that you can bank on. Like and subscribe to this video, and check out the football recruiting masterclass. Get the competitive advantage and make sure you know all the ins and outs of what's happening on the recruiting process, the new NIL rules, how to evaluate the schools and different things of that nature. We also have individual recruiting and player development coaching packages through Blue Chip Academy. The links will be below in the bio. So just make sure you check those out. And we have a free recruiting consult if you guys are stuck in the recruiting process, just going through the elite sports ecosystem. Tap in with me. I'll be your host, and Justin King. Thanks for tuning in. And again, like and subscribe to the video and check out the podcast, Blue Chip Academy.